It's been a massive weekend of football. Obviously, Tottenham Hotspur have taken out the Europa League. 17 years since silverware, 41 years since a European title. It doesn't get any bigger than this. And we've got the pleasure. Well, I mean, I've got the pleasure. It's just Archie here actually riding solo. Miles has had to duck off to his acting class, the selfish pig he is. But it is my pleasure to be hosting one of the great football commentators going around. He's a commentator for Premier Sports, Tottenham Hotspur, the EFL, international football for IMG. He's actually a personal favourite of ours. We've done a couple of his commentaries, I think a couple of years ago, and then obviously fresh off the weekend. He's also the host of the UEFA's official Champions League radio show and podcast. It's Rob Daly. Rob, thank you so much for joining us off the back of what's been a massive week of football. Mate, first of all, what's happening in your life at the moment? Whereabouts are you? And what happens to a football commentator once the season's over?
You just sleep. Like it's been Archie, it has been mad. It's been mad. I mean, it's been a really great season personally. You know, I'm working on the Champions League and the Premier League for my TV channel, Premier, and then obviously I'm doing the stuff for Tottenham. But this week, I've got 2 more games to go before the season's actually over. The Conference League and the Champions League final coming up this week. But it really felt like the last day of school a bit yesterday. You know what I mean? It was it was Spurs' last game of the season. They lost to Brighton, but it didn't matter because it was all about the European celebrations. So I'm going to have 6 weeks off. I've got summer off, which is just amazing, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing for a month and a half.
That's what it's all about. You got to have your time off. I'm sure it'd be a mad schedule for yourself. Can you run me through what the weekly schedule looks like as a football commentator, podcaster, sort of in the media there? Is it pretty busy for you throughout the year?
Yeah, normally you'd be doing maybe, say, 3 games a week or something like that. So you'd dedicate a couple of days where you can to just doing your research and getting your notes down and everything, and then the other days you're doing the matches. And it's been a brilliant season. It's probably been my favourite season ever. Not only because got to go to Bilbao and see Spurs have that incredible moment for the football club. It's been so long in coming, but covering the Champions League. It's a relatively new TV deal for the channel I work for. The semi-finals, Lamine Yamal, Barcelona, into all that stuff that was going on. Yeah. So it's been a real buzz, mate. Yeah.
Mate, I do want to dive into, obviously, the Spurs on the weekend. We'll chat a little bit about Ange, but, I mean, you're actually a bit of an inside joke in our house with me and Miles. It was actually that Harry Kane call where he broke the scoring record. Was it for Tottenham, I think it was? Whatever it was, where you just yell out, Kane! And I don't know why, but we walk around the house and I don't know why, but we just find it hilarious. Whenever we're about to do something, might be turning on the washing machine before you click the button, it's Kane! And then you click the button or...
Mate, that's so...
And we go,
that is such an honour, man. That kills me. That goal specifically, I'll tell you a couple of things about that goal. Because Spurs turned the ball over so quickly. When Kane's approaching the record, and it's a big deal for Tottenham, he's going to overtake the great Jimmy Greaves as the club's greatest ever goal scorer. You're hyper aware in the games leading up to it that it could happen at any moment. And what kind of dawned on me in that moment, the reason that I kind of let it out that way that you and Miles do is because Spurs just kind of pinched the ball out of nowhere and slipped him in, and my brain went, "Oh, it's going to happen. This is the moment now." So that's why my voice kind of did that. When you guys did that first video, by the way, it's such a joy. Both videos, and I'd love to chat through the second video later on.
Yeah.
But when you put your video out, the club actually had a camera on us. We didn't know we were being filmed, so they basically did actually what it looked like when me and Clive did the commentary. And my social media, it never happened before, kind of blew up that day. So it was actually really nice. It was suddenly had millions of views and all this. The commentary cam footage, and some of the comments were amazing. And my absolute favourite was it was something like, "Great commentary. I never would have guessed you were a ginger." Now, I don't know what that means, but I kind of get it. Even I get it, and I am me. I kind of got it.
I don't know why that matters, though. That's the thing. Like,
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. But it caught people out, definitely, that I'm a ginger guy. It did. Yeah.
I'm trying to picture, because I didn't know what you looked like when we were lip syncing that call. I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't have pictured you were a ginger either.
There you go. It doesn't work. I know. But I can't dye it, can I?
That's right. Hey, that was an unbelievable call. But look, there's something common with your calls, mate. And, you would think you'd be a Tottenham supporter with the passion that just comes out of your mouth when I hear your calls. And, I mean, when we're hunting for commentaries, we're extremely picky, right? So we knew that Tottenham had just won the Europa League, and we went hunting for some commentary, and I think we heard Sky Sports or whatever it was, and for some reason it just wasn't hitting, and we're like, oh, maybe we just can't do this awesome moment. And then I think it was a day later we came across on Instagram your call of it, and I'm like, yep, there it is. That's the one.
Yes,
like,
mate.
It's all about does the passion come through the screen? Mate, with your call, like you had goosebumps with it. Like you're screaming, the wait for silverware is over. The moment you've been waiting for is here. It's like you're writing, through your voice, you're writing every supporter's emotions, and it's a credit to you because, I don't know who you support, and I do want to get into this, but how do you, I guess, resemble the Tottenham fans that for such a big moment, because I could see on the footage there was tears from the fans. Like, how do you sort of encapsulate that moment and make sure you deliver it?
Yeah, it's just about having a real understanding of where the fan base are, for any given moment, whether you're working for Tottenham or you're working on a big say a Champions League final for two teams from in this case Paris and Milan, and just trying to understand what are they feeling? Like, it's a lot of work. You can do all the research about stats all day long you want, and it really is about what do these people feel right now. And over the full-time whistle, you got, has it happened? That line that came to me about 10 seconds before the ref blew the whistle. I was like, oh, I could do this here, because it's like, the Spurs fans will not believe it's happened. They won the League Cup 17 years ago. They won the League Cup, late 90s. But the first big trophy, I think you could argue, really big trophy, since the 91 FA Cup. So for some people, they've never seen it in their life. So it really is just getting in a place where you understand how the fans feel. And that means speaking to fans a lot and just trying to gauge the emotion around it. And this is where then having Clive next to me, club legend, scored 49 goals in one season, which is absolutely ridiculous. And he's a man who is the club. His dad played for the 61 double winning team. He played for the club himself. His cousin Paul played 300 or 400 times for the football club. Brad is the under-18s assistant manager right now. They're all Spurs fans. They were all in Bilbao. So really it's about understanding the real emotion around something like that. And some people do the whole fan TV thing. They'll do the screaming over the goal. But I really want to give people like lines and things they remember, because I'm very conscious that when I work for something like Spurs, where people don't see the game, see my commentary live, they see it after, uploaded as highlights, that it's a time capsule for those people. So that's kind of what it's all about. And then Clive really can kind of play that supporter role. Like we've done it, Rob, we've done it. That kind of thing on the sidelines. So Clive was...
even that just fed so much into it. Like,
that's the line that's making...
I felt like Miles was the expert, like, even though he wasn't doing the talking, but those two lines meant so much.
That's the one. So obviously we went down to the parade on Friday for the trophy. We were there on the Sunday, and the line everyone says kind of gets them, the tear-jerking line, is Clive saying that. So it really is about... It isn't necessarily about like the words. It's a whole feel. It's a whole vibe, isn't it? Sometimes there's something, but that line from Clive is the one that just seems to be getting into people's hearts a little bit, which is just fantastic.
Mate, it's unreal. It's unreal, mate. Oh, when did you first start commentating for the Spurs? And has it always been a dream of yours to be a commentator? When did it sort of start for you?
It's actually funny because when I was a kid, I was a nonsense at football, like just not handy at all. So I did want to be a football commentator. Funnily enough, when I was a really little kid, loved Martin Tyler, and sort of kind of grew out of that idea. Then I was a news journalist. I got to kind of hit 18. I was a news journalist, but started working in football when I was about 20. So I'm 39 now. And so I've kind of been in football, first started covering games in 2004, so about 20 years. But properly started, I'd probably say commentary properly, probably 16, 17 years really. You start in local radio, you're doing all the lower league grounds and all that kind of business. And then eventually kind of, and there's still things I want to do. There's still places I want to work. I've never commentated on a World Cup or a Euros or there's loads of stuff I want to do. But I was a news journalist, and so much of it feeds into that, mate. It's about editorial decisions, like what is the top line of this moment, the kind of things you'd write a headline for in a newspaper, and just making sure you're trying to hit those in real time, so live editorial decisions, and then making sure you can say it is kind of a lot of the skill of it, I guess.
I feel like there'd be a lot of pressure though. Like, how do you even prepare yourself for that? Like, it's not like you can sort of write down notes on the moment that's happening in front of you. It's sort of like you have to come up with it on the spot, right?
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's a great question. Like people, some people do script things, and that's fine. That's the way they do it, and it's hard to make that work in a real live moment. What I'll do is, onto the way of the game, I'll think about, well, what's the story of that player if they do something, and then build these ideas in my head. Like with that Kane goal, I had this line. It was like. He was called a one-season wonder, so I really like this one-season wonder to 1 in a million, from icon to immortal. Like I must have played around with these ideas in my head in the car on the way to the game or something, but yeah. It wasn't written out because it just will not work. It won't. Personally, it won't work for me. So it's not like you don't think about it at all. You're just trying to envisage ways you could go, because really you're so doing it for those supporters. And
yeah, that's right.
And actually, weirdly, Archie, like before this final, we're flying out to Bilbao, and everyone at the club was like, "Oh, great, you're at the final. If they win, your comms will be iconic." And I started getting feeling a bit sick about it, because it was like, what if I don't do the line properly? The exact thing you're talking about. And then we were down at the fan park in Bilbao, and all the supporters were there, and there were like thousands of people there. And I was saying to someone recently, I was just looking at all those people. I went, no, I understand how these people feel. It'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was looking at them. So yeah, it was, and luckily it kind of comes out. The only thing, like something like Brennan Johnson's goal, right? It was a mess. It was a mess of a goal. So you can't give that nice clean commentary line, but you hope.
True, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Like the ugliest goal you've ever seen is Spurs' biggest moment in 4 decades.
You still made the moment. You still sold it, to be honest. Like,
oh, great.
If I was listening to it without the visuals, I would have, pictured a proper, awesome scoring, awesome goal. So, I think you made it work, mate. That was good.
That's great. When I saw, all commentators over here are obsessed with you guys. And when I saw you did this goal, because I could read the caption, right? I was like, oh, I hope that's us. Right. And then I saw Miles wearing the flat cap, and I was like, that's us. Definitely. I hadn't heard it.
Are you serious?
I saw the flat cap, and I was like, yes, it's go time. Yeah.
That's epic. I'm glad we're, I guess.
I just knew. I was like, that's Clive. Definitely. Boom. We're in.
That's so
brilliant.
Good.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor. And honestly, on Friday, obviously, I'm getting like messages throughout the week for the game and loads of stuff. But then suddenly your thing dropped, and it was just my phone just went everyone messaging me. So, no, what a buzz, mate. Honoured, genuinely honoured.
At the end of the day, it's your work. As if we can elevate it in any way or give it more exposure, then we're doing our job. But at the end of the day, it is your commentary that makes the moment. So that's what we love so much. Mate, I also wanted to talk about. Well, you just mentioned you've been in the business for the best part of 20 years now. What's the best moment you've been a part of or been on the call? Does what happened on the weekend, does anything trump it?
There's been a few, like I was on the Sergio Aguero goal the Man City title-winning goal against QPR back in 2012.
No way. Was that with Martin Tyler?
Mine was there, so I was working. Actually, what was weird about that was, so I was like a kind of jobbing freelance commentator at the time, and there was a commentator for Man City, and he couldn't do the game. He couldn't do the game. I don't know if he was working for someone else who'd already committed. So I just got a call saying, "Do you mind just stepping in?" I was like, "Absolutely, brilliant game. They'll win the league definitely." So yeah, sure, I'll do that game, and then. Obviously, what transpired. Now the comms are just a crazy, distorted mess.
Oh,
but I was a bit raw at the time, and but it's still, you know. And Martin Tyler's thing where he just let it breathe, like he didn't say anything for about 15 seconds, is genius, like a genuine work of commentary. Genius,
he just said, "Drink it in."
Drink it in, unbelievable. Like he just came out with that.
Drink it in,
and that you can't. There's no way you can't script any of that, and he comes up with the best commentary line I've ever heard. So, but that that and the Kane moment and that night in Bilbao, you know, they'd be in the top 4 or 5 moments, for sure. And you guys, didn't you meet the squad when they came over to Australia?
We were. I didn't get to meet them, but we were sort of in the vicinity. We were sort of like, I might have high-fived 1 or 2 of them, but no, we didn't get too close to the squad. How close do you get to the squad? You host a few players on your podcast, don't you? Like,
for the post-match stuff, you know, you get to interview the players and the manager, and yesterday, you know, we spoke to Ange after, and you know, on a live show, we did a live stream of this was obviously the post-Brighton game, but the lap of honour that they did for the season and stuff like that. So you wouldn't say you get, you know, Ben, the presenter, he has a much better bond with the players. He's around them all the time, whereas I'm not really. But, you know, you get an understanding in a way for their personalities and what's going to work and not going to work in terms of questioning. And what we'll say about this group of players is that they are just a really nice bunch of people. Like they are... Yeah. You kind of, you know, and I said yesterday on the coverage, for all the problems and for people not aware, Spurs have won their biggest trophy in 40 years, basically. But they finished 17th in the Premier League, so just above the relegation. Yeah. So 22 defeats, unheard of in the Premier League era to not get relegated with that number. But there's been no discontent. You know, things in the media, this player's not happy, this guy's saying he wants to move, none of that. Zero. So... that's been so impressive on their part and Ange Postecoglou's part too, I think.
So what do you attribute the tough season? I mean, it's such a turnaround from the in-season to then the Europa League win. Like, you know, what do you think was the big issue in-season compared to what was happening in the Europa League? Because it's a stark difference.
There was. The Europa League at the start, because you just had to kind of finish in the top 8 of the league phase. So they could rotate in that competition a little bit. But in the Premier League, you just have to... The Premier League is so strong now. You just have to go every game. Basically strongest team. Yeah. And like Wolves, who were bottom, they were bottom of the league with 3 Brazil internationals in their team. So just... This is the Premier League now is just absolutely bonkers. And I think the fact that Man United have dropped off, the fact that... Villa ended up missing out on Champions League football. That some of the European teams suffered for their Premier League season, suffered a bit for being in Europe. That was the case with Spurs. Look, there were definitely shortcomings. There was bad performances. The injury crisis was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. They were struggling, you know, in part to get actual training sessions on because they didn't have enough footballers. So, you know, you can't just rip them all out of the youth team because the youth team have got games. So it was just a really testing time. And then they had to be so careful with someone like Mickey van der Ven, Romero, muscle injuries. I don't know, really tough. I mean, lots of lessons to be learned. Ange's been talking as well about the fact they need to sign more experience maybe. It was a window where young players came in and had a phenomenal impact, but he was talking about signing, you know, a bit more experience. So, and then there was the decision to kind of not quite sacrifice the Premier League, but know that it was all on the Europa League, really, Archie. You know, like it was about not just winning a trophy, it was Champions League qualification, it was the big money of that. It was everything, and it was a risk, but it paid off big time.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we just love Ange over here in Australia. I mean, to be honest, I see most of him through like these TikTok edits going around. Like, I don't know. Are you on TikTok at all?
I'm not on TikTok. You can tell me.
Oh, there's probably like 12-year-olds all making these Ange Postecoglou like hardcore edits on like his aura and all this stuff, because he's obviously got all these hardcore quotes going on, like how season 3 is better than season 2, or I always win trophies in my second season. Like, are you a fan of all this? Do you think that sort of sums up who Ange is, like a confident guy that just backs himself?
Yeah. Then what was so amazing about the quote, I always win things in my second season, it was actually, the quote was put to him, like you said, you usually win things in your second season. He didn't just go, yeah, that's what I said. He went, I'll correct myself. I don't usually win things in my second season. I always win things in my second season. So he just went, oh, you know that quote that's already like mega punchy? I'm just going to, all the chips in.
He's just risking it all. It's like...
Yeah. And you got, I think that's why...
on Ange.
Did you see Mo Salah tweet about it? Mo Salah apparently hasn't tweeted anything without a piece of media attached in like 4 or 5 years or something. And Mo Salah just tweeted, he said he'd do it, something, that was it. And I think it was a sign of respect that you say you're going to do something, you did it. And he got the rewards, like the parade, Archie, the love coming out of 225,000 people that were there lining the streets in North London. It was extraordinary. The season's been a challenge for him, of course. And, it's been more difficult than he imagined. He's admitted that, kind of this season. A crazy 2 years since he took over, but the fans certainly seem to show their appreciation to me on Friday and Sunday to him and what he's finally delivered for them.
It's unreal. I mean, we love it. If you had to describe Ange Postecoglou in one word, what would you use? You can take your time.
Well, that's difficult. I think authentic.
Yeah.
I think authentic. Like when he's rattled, he'll express it. When he's happy, he'll express it. He rarely wavers from what he says he is, so there's a lot to admire in that. So I think authentic is probably the best word I can get to with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he's putting Australia in a good light?
Yeah, don't you? I mean, you can tell me.
100%. 100%. I think he's flying the flag for Australia over there. I don't think there's anyone bigger other than Josh Giddey as an Australian in the sporting world right now. To be like,
I mean, look at it. The first Australian and Greek person to win a European trophy in history. Yeah. And even, there would, he talks about it, but there would be a stigma attached to merely hearing the accent in an English football context. There was an American manager called Bob Bradley who came over, took over Swansea, and was kind of... The culture just didn't accept him. The culture just didn't. But Ange, in those first 3 months, and they were blind in 3 months. Tottenham were top of the league. He won 8 out of 10 games, drew the other 2. He was on this brilliant media tear where he was just saying unbelievable stuff. And the first time I interviewed him, he had said this thing about, I can't tell the fans how to feel. We just have to show them what we're doing. So Tottenham were playing great football. And I said, Tottenham were top. And I said to him, you said you couldn't tell the fans how to feel, but you're top now and they think they're going to win the league. Don't you have to try and quell expectations? And he was like, let them think we're going to win the league. Let them think it. Let them dream. It's fine. He knows he can't control that. So he's just quite compelling and he's different. A lot of managers will talk about when Tottenham were in the race for Champions League football, get top 4 last year. He had no interest in talking about trying to get top 4. Whereas every other manager would use that as a target to motivate their players. Just different. Just very different. But goodness me, he's written his name into history now at Tottenham. Goodness me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, I want to take you back to the game. What was your number one moment? Because obviously there was a few big moments that occurred. It was the Brennan Johnson goal, you had the Van Deven save, and the Vicario save as well. What was your personal favourite during the game? What was match defining? And you thought, you know what, this is going to get the job done for Tottenham.
Yeah, Van der Ven's clearance. Clive even said it on commentary. He said something like, that's a match-winning moment, which is a big call to make. So still another 20 minutes of the game and United were on top and putting pressure on Spurs, but it was bang on. It was bang on.
Yeah.
It was an extraordinary clearance, and if you actually see the clip, Archie, right? So the ball's coming into the box, goalkeeper comes out, and you can see Van der Ven go, something might go wrong here, and he just runs behind, ready to make a goal line clearance. Extraordinary thinking. So, I'd go with that. I have to ask, like, the effect. Is there a great affection for Spurs now in Australia as well? Like, because of, I know, there's been great Australian players here, obviously, but has that increased as well?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the amount of neutrals over here in Australia, like there is obviously diehards that have a Premier League team or a European team, and they're up at 3 a.m. and they're watching the games. But to be honest, there's not a lot of. That's a very small population in Australia. Like there's not a lot of us. We're all big AFL, Aussie rules fans, and cricket, and that is about it. Like not much other sport is going to enter our brains. So and we need a narrative to follow, and just giving us that reason. Like I have no affiliation with Ange at the helm at Tottenham. Like he's the reason I'm following Tottenham. He gives me the reason to back them in and be passionate about a team, because otherwise I don't have any other affiliation with it. I mean, my grandpa, he was Scottish, so maybe Celtic. But then again, Ange was at Celtic, so
yeah.
It's probably Celtic and Tottenham for me. But yeah, as a general consensus here in Australia, for sure, I think a lot of people are leaning Tottenham's way.
Oh, that's right. I think you always need that narrative in. Like, I know there's a bit of snobbery around things like the new interest in F1 and how like NFL docs have helped get people into specific teams, their first all or nothing. But why not? I wouldn't be a snob about any of this stuff. It's brilliant. And you do need that narrative in. Like, if you don't understand the story, you're just watching two teams play an event. It's hard to emotionally invest, isn't it? So Archie, please, can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, go for it.
So we sat down for our production meeting for the game on Sunday, and we have a big meeting about the pre-match show and everything. The first 10 minutes was spent talking about the clip because everyone was like, how do they do it? How do they do it? So on behalf of the production team, like, we should have been planning for a big show, and we weren't doing our work. Everyone was just going, how do they change the timings of it? How do you get it? How do you get it?
How many people are we talking here? Huddled around the phone.
Yeah, about 10, 15 minutes. 10, 15
That's
people.
insane.
Yeah, we were all just going, I don't know how they do it. Is it just practice? Do you just?
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the magic if it's like a big secret or something. But
tell you what, hang on, let me get it up, and I'll just transport myself back to doing it.
Sly into Bentancur.
That was the hardest line for some reason.
oh my god!
For some reason,
Sly into Bentancur.
I couldn't get it, and Miles was behind me, and he's like, "I can't do this," because it was probably half an hour, and he knew we had like a whole sequence to go through. Like, we haven't even rehearsed the next sequences, and this one's probably supposed to be the easiest one because I'm not yelling or we're not sort of moving around celebrating a goal just yet. But man, that took forever. I don't know. I mean, you're asking us how we do it. It's persistence, sometimes a lot of pain, but just practice. The 3 Ps.
Practice. Oh, mate, it's
persistence,
phenomenal.
pain, and practice. That's the one.
Absolutely worth it, mate. Absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But look, before I leave you, Rob, last one. I do like to hear is about commentators. What's been the biggest blunder over the years? Have you made a mishap of words at all over the years? Has there been an interview where something went wrong? What's the number one?
There's been so many. There have been so many. I mean, you always, especially when you work in the football league, so like the lower leagues of football, you'll just have these horrific interactions with managers where you'll ask a crap question. The interview will end, and then he'll go, he'll just start swearing at you. Why are you asking me that? Just horrible things. But there was one game, this would be about 2010, where a team scored and they go 4-0 up. I think it was a Man City game. They go 4-0 up. I go full time. They've won 4-0. They hadn't. I'd forgot a goal. They conceded one. I just completely. It had gone. It had gone.
Oh no!
I don't know what happened. This would be like 15 years ago now, but.
Oh bugger!
Then someone just went. It was 4-1, by the way. I was like,
no.
Just gone. But obviously, you have. I mean, mate, there are so many accidental innuendo, all the stuff you guys do on your Instagram, where you get like the best lines out of people. You are one of the people. If I need to cheer myself up, I'll watch you guys or this comedian Veronica Slovakosa. So like you just do the funny stuff. But the one where the guy correctly guesses the at bat, and he guesses it's going to go. He goes, I think it's going to be a 3-1 count left centre field.
3-1 count. Yes.
Unbelievable.
I don't know how the hell that happened. That's actually one of our favourites too.
I love it. I loved it.
I can't remember. It's a tough one. I can't remember the exact lines, but he was just sounding so confident, and then just the sheer shock from the other commentator as it happened. It was just, it was a recipe for what we do. So that's the kind of one you see, and you're like, boom, we're having that. Yeah, we're having that. It's the magical moments in the commentary box, which we like to take advantage of. So,
Magic.
But Rob, look, we can only hope you keep feeding us the magical moments, mate. Keep doing what you do best, mate, because Tottenham are glad to have you and listen to you every week. So, and I will be listening to you every week because I'm on the Tottenham train, thanks to Ange.
Excellent, good to hear it, Archie.
Fingers crossed he hangs around next year. Am I right?
Let's see. It was, I mean, fascinating watching the reaction to him, because there's obviously been difficulties this season. But, there was genuine affection from everyone at the parade and on Sunday. So, he says he's going on his holiday. He said something like, "Que sera, sera." So, let's wait and see what happens.
We'll wait and see. Hey, Rob, thanks so much, mate. Appreciate it. Is there anything you want to plug while you're on here?
No.
No, all good.
You guys, you. I'm
You're
good,
a legend, mate. He's a humble king. Love it, Rob. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Archie.
Appreciate it, mate. You're a legend, mate. Thanks.